Hi folks, welcome to week number 4 of Interpersonal Communications Online for fall of 2013. This week we are going to be working on chapter 3, which is all about verbal communication. And remember folks, as we are kind of moving through this first section of the textbook, we really are looking at some of the different channels that we use in that communication model process. And so today this week what we're going to look at is that verbal channel. So for week number 4, which is September 16th through September 22nd, that's what we will be focusing on. So if you will read and study chapter 3, no discussion posting due this week, but you do have your quiz number 3, which is due by Friday, September 20th at 11:59 p.m. I also will be finishing up grading your first discussion postings that you submitted last week, and I should have comments for you this week as well. I kind of like to have a little bit of break after you do your first discussion posting, so that it gives me time to read them and then to post feedback and grades for you before we jump in and we do another discussion posting. So I will get those graded hopefully by midweek. I should have your discussion posting number 1. I should have your grade posted and some feedback posted for all of you. So pretty simple week as far as we're only looking at one actual assignment, quiz number 3. But I do want you to get a start on the instruction manual, which is due next week on Friday, September 27th. And the reason that I'd like you to get a jump on it is because it does take a little bit of time. There are kind of multiple sections to the paper, and it is the first paper that you're writing in class. So sometimes students will tell me that it takes a little bit longer to kind of figure out exactly what they're doing. So I do want to talk about that today. I'm going to switch our screen here over to the assignment sheet for the instruction manual, and I want to talk about that a little bit because I know that some of you I've already reviewed I think 5 of these for students, and I know a lot of you will start to work on this week. So what you're going to do, your first written paper for me that you are going to drop in the Dropbox is called Instruction Manual for Relational Partners. And if you look here under the assignment description, you see that I start out saying when we buy a new appliance, we get a manual from the manufacturer telling us what the machine is capable of doing and how to take care of it. Unfortunately, human beings aren't born with an instruction manual, and people we meet don't hand us a set of instructions for dealing with them more effectively. Although our interactions with them may be far more complex and important to us than some sort of equipment that we've purchased. We have to figure that out all for ourselves. So in this paper, you will remedy that unfortunate social vacuum and prepare an instructional manual about yourself to provide current and future relational partners, or as I refer to in this instructions, RPS, so they know what to expect, how to interact effectively with them, and how to remedy matters when things go wrong. I do want you to follow guidelines for college level writing for each concept chosen. Analyze communication examples using the information presented in our textbook. So similar to what you've been doing as far as your discussion postings, I do want you to talk about your communication behavior, your patterns, but then I do want you to be able to tie that back to our textbook. And what I'm asking for you to do is your final paper will be 4 to 5 pages in length. It needs to be double spaced. And I do want you to double check for mechanical and grammar errors. Again, this is a college level transferable course, so the writing level does need to be at an undergraduate college level. You do need to include one concept from each of these 4 areas: nonverbal communication, mediated communication, language, and communication competence. So at least one concept that you apply in your paper needs to come from these 4 areas. So here are the directions. I want you to write a set of instructions. The paper should be entitled or headed Instructional Manual for Dealing with Me. I'm looking again for somewhere in that 3, 4, 5 page area, double spaced, and it should be intended for a relational partner in one particular role. So I want you to, in the first part of the paper that you start out, I do want you to do an introductory paragraph that says the following is a set of instructions. that I would provide to a romantic partner, to a coworker, to a roommate, or whatever, and do a little bit of a kind of an introductory paragraph so the reader knows what's coming in your paper. I am going to look for self-awareness, and that you really take the time to reflect on your communication behaviors and the effects that it might have on a relational partner. So each of the headings need to be included in your paper, and you can just include these as a section. You can underline, you can bold them, and you can use these as your sections. You do not need transitions between each of these 6 sections. It can be written very similar to an actual instructional manual. So the first section that you're going to write on is what I do. And here's what you're going to do is you're going to provide a description of the sorts of behavior that someone would see you doing in this particular relationship. And just kind of, this again is a very self-reflective piece where you write about, what do I usually do in situations with friends? What do I normally do in situations with romantic partners? So again, I'm looking for specific behaviors here. And this is a great time. Then you could pull in concepts of verbal communication. You could pull in concepts of nonverbal communication. You could pull in mediated calm. For example, when I'm in a romantic relationship, maybe one of the things that I do is I text that person every day just to say good morning, how are you, and kind of touch base with that person. So I would write about that for me is just kind of a communication pattern with a romantic partner. And then I might pull in some concepts from mediated communication about using texting as a channel of communication. The second section that you're going to write about is what I think or feel. So in the first section, we've talked about what observable behaviors this relational partner would be able to see or experience with you, but this is what goes on underneath, what they can't see in this kind of a relationship. You might include what I'm likely to be thinking or feeling when we first get together, what I hope will happen between us, what general operating principles that I follow, how I usually feel, what my intentions are, and so on. And so this is kind of, again, that this is what's going on underneath those behaviors. Let's go back to that first example that I provided. Perhaps with a romantic partner, I text that person every day. So what's going on underneath that? Well, what I'm thinking or feeling is that I just want a chance to connect with that person. I do that because I like a daily connection with someone that I'm very close with. And I think that's important that that person then texts me back so that I know that they received my message. So that would be some of the kind of the what's going on underneath with my thinking or my feeling. The third section that you're going to write about is maintenance strategies. What you need to do, what that person, your relational partner, needs to do to keep that relationship going well. What are some of my expectations? What are some of the norms? What are some of the rules that I have for my relationships? What do we need to keep us on track? Underneath here, I also have what serves as fuel to sustain my energy and my enthusiasm. And again, this section calls for a lot of self-reflection and thought. Folks, this isn't a paper that you can sit down and write in a half hour, because I really am looking for you to think and reflect on your own behaviors, your own thoughts, your own feelings, your expectations. And then we get to that fourth section, which is safety recommendations. What I recommend you not do. What are my rules for relationships? What might disappoint, irritate, or hurt me? What might cause me to withdraw or feel annoyed in this particular relationship? So things that we want that person to know that for me, these are rules that I'm asking you not to break. I mean, it really is kind of an interesting move because it takes those implicit rules that we might have for these relationships, and now by speaking them or writing them in this paper, we've moved them over to explicit, where they're actually stated for the relationship. The fifth section is warning indicators. If you do things that will disappoint, irritate, hurt me, cause me to withdraw or feel annoyed, then what are some of the signals that you're going to see from me to show you that something is going wrong? This is the proverbial red, blinking red light when something has malfunctioned. So what are my blinking red lights? What will you see? What will you hear? How will you know that I'm starting to get upset? So what sort of behaviors or what sort of nonverbals and verbal things can you see that'll help you know that I'm upset. The last section for this paper is called Repair Procedures, and this is what I'm asking you to do if something does upset me, what you might do as my relational partner to get back on track. How can we heal? How can we renew the relationship? So again, I'm looking for you to write all 3 of those sections. Again, making sure that you have at least one concept from all 4 of these sections. And then if you notice down here, here's the grading rubric. An A paper, which would be a 45 to 50 page paper. Oh, and you know what, folks? That is incorrect. As I'm looking at that, this paper is not worth 50 points. It's worth 25 points. So I will make a change to that and upload that to our D2L site. However, the criteria is the same. So disregard the points over here, but know that it's on that same 70, 80, 90% scale. But I still am looking for 6 specific communication examples. So as you're writing through these different sections, a good rule of thumb is to know that you have to have at least one specific example for each of those sections. And you do need to apply at least 6 concepts from our textbook, remembering again at least one concept from each of our 4 designated areas. And make sure that you're including definitions and page or chapter section numbers. And this is the piece that's really important. I'm looking for an analysis that fully demonstrates your understanding and the ability to apply course knowledge and information. So make sure that as you're writing this, that you really do demonstrate that not only are you able to apply the related text concepts, but that you truly do understand them. Okay, so that gives you just kind of an overall view. Again, points are not right over here, so I will upload the corrected points. However, everything here is still correct. So if you're shooting for that A, you still do need to make sure that you meet this criteria. Once again, folks, I'm happy to review your instruction manual if you get a rough draft done, or you even just get the first section done and you want me to take a peek at it. Feel free to email it to me. Remember that these are going to be uploaded into the Dropbox, the appropriate Dropbox. They need to be saved either in rich text format or in Word. Word is the easiest for me to upload and to make comments on. So that would be fabulous if you have Word, or if you are able to use OpenOffice. That would be great. So folks, just to go back to our schedule real quickly here. Again, here we are at week number 4. So officially we're a 1/4 of the way through the semester because there's 16 weeks in our semester. Reading chapter 3 this week, completing chapter 3 by Friday, September 20th, the quiz. Next week we're reading chapter 4 on nonverbal and mediated comm, and I'm hoping, folks, that you'll take the opportunity this week to start on your instruction manual that is due next Friday, September 27th. Hope you are doing well. Again, I should have feedback and points recorded for your discussion posting by midweek, hopefully by Wednesday, so you can be looking for those. If you have any questions in the meantime, please shoot me an email, and have a good week, folks.